recorded because I have promised you all that I will have this up by Wednesday night. So hopefully we'll make it through this without any more technical issues. Okay, so where we are in our discussion is on intermittent reinforcement in order to decrease a behavior, stimulus, discrimination, and shaping. So let's take a look at these different areas within behavior modification. Okay, so focusing on using intermittent reinforcement to decrease a behavior or the target behavior by reinforcing aspects of a behavior, there are 4 types. These are differentials. They are differential reinforcement. Differential reinforcement through low rates of some type of stimulus or reinforcement. Differential reinforcement of zero responding in order to have zero response to the zero response of the behavior is acceptable. A differential reinforcement of incompatible responding, which is something that would not go with the desired behavior. And then differential reinforcement of alternative responding behavior, which is the alternative behavior to the behavior that's currently being displayed. So let's look at DRL. Differential reinforcement of low rates only occurs when there's a low rate of the target behavior. Then the target behavior will, in theory, occur at a low rate. Some examples of this is if you tell your children that they can go home and play with their toys, but that they need to not make a lot of noise. They can play with their toys as long as there's not a lot of noise. When you tell someone that they can have caffeine if they're trying to cut back on caffeine, but they can have low rates or low amounts of it. What you have to do to make this effective is determine a cutoff. It's arbitrary. It has to be something that's decided upon. This can be useful when some of the behavior is tolerable, but less is better. And some other examples is warnings in school, where someone may have a constant conduct or tardy issues, low levels of noise, like I said about the children in the room, and then 5 miles per hour is a speed limit buffer. You have speed zones where low rates are encouraged in those areas. Be thinking about how you could use this in your projects. What you'll see is that it's easier to slowly decrease the amount of a behavior, and DRL is going to allow that to happen. A DRO is when zero, the word zero is your key to remembering this one. It's when zero amounts of the behavior are tolerable. A reinforcer is only presented if the target behavior does not occur during a specific amount of time. What if the target behavior occurs? Then you have to have that built into your plan of action to have a contingency plan for in case that happens. So this can be good if the target behavior is not tolerable, like scratching your face. If you don't scratch your face at all, then at the end of the day you'll get a treat or a prize or whatever it is. Because a lot of times, and some of you have said biting nails, you can reward yourself if you don't bite your nails at all. And you could use the DRL at low rates. Well, no, probably not. You don't want to allow yourself to bite your nails at all in this type of project. But low rates versus zero, the key is to increase time so that the target behavior is extinct. And then some examples would be the quiet game. For 30 minutes, no quiet at all. And then you may go up from there with the DRL, and after 30 minutes of no talking, you can talk as long as it's not too loud. And then reducing bad words, is that for someone who does not speak with any curse language or bad words, that they'll be reinforced with a positive reinforcement, natural reinforcer, or a token type economy. Again, how could this be used in your projects? 5 days without smoking, and you get yourself a dinner or a pedicure, manicure, take yourself out to a movie, something. Reward yourself, and that those rewards are very important. Okay, DRI. Do not reinforce the target behavior, but reinforce a behavior that's incompatible to the target behavior. For example, sitting and standing, quiet and loud, hitting and hands in pockets, drinking water and drinking alcohol, etc. In other words, you want to reward the incompatible behavior. If the target behavior is sitting down, then you would not reward sitting down, you would reward standing up. If the target behavior is quiet, then you would reward only when they're quiet and not when they're loud. It's incompatible. Quiet is the desired behavior versus being loud. Hitting someone is the undesired behavior. Having your hands in your pocket will keep you from doing that. Therefore, if you have your hands in your pockets, you'll be rewarded. And then, of course, drinking water instead of alcohol is an incompatible behavior. This is very useful with the clients with ADHD. You can reinforce sitting in a chair doing work versus out-of-seat behaviors. And then again, how could this be used in your projects? If it's something incompatible, if it's drinking sodas, what's incompatible to sodas? Water. And then DRA alternative. Most effective and the most widely used is DRA, and this is the differential reinforcement of alternative behaviors. The extinction of a target behavior by only reinforcing target behavior other than the undesirable one. Why is it most effective? Well, because at the beginning of this class, I told you that it's easier to build a already present positive behavior than it is to decrease an undesirable or a bad habit. So, if you target in on those positive things, the alternative to being late to class is to be on time, and if you reinforce being on time, that's the alternative to being late. If your alternative is to breathe and be healthy and chew gum, that is something you're going to do more of, and that will take the place of. Alternative, it will take the place of smoking. How could this be used in your projects? Well, several different ways. You can look at what are you going to do instead of. With smoking, you've probably all heard of straws, something that you can do because it's a habit. To pull that cigarette out of that case and to smoke it is a habit. Sodas, it's a habit, the rush. So what can you do so that you're still enacting the behavior without the consequential negative side effects from whatever the undesired behavior is? Okay, some things to remember when you're doing these procedures is some of the behavior tolerable or not. If you can handle some of the behavior, DRL. If you can't, DRO. Be careful not to strain your subject, whoever the client is. Make sure that it is going to be effective for you to, if you're talking about someone with cigarettes or caffeine, you have to keep in mind the side effects, and DRO may not be appropriate. DRL may be so that the client can be weaned off of their addictive stimulant or whatever it is, nicotines, chocolate, food, whatever it is. Okay, so what you should look at when you're preparing to do this is you should be able to, and I'm going to open a discussion board, an extra discussion board, to help you get ready for the test to do this group activity. You should, A, describe an application or procedure for a person with alcohol dependence. Give a behavioral definition, which DR, differential reinforcement type, and why would you use it to help that person quit using alcohol. Explain the program you would design for them and any potential problems with them. That's on the substance abuse or chemical dependency side of things. And then on the psychological or the mental health side, for childhood development, describe an application or procedure for a person with an ADHD diagnosis. What's a behavioral definition of someone with attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder? Which DR type? Why? Explain the program and potential problems. I will place this on Blackboard. It will be one discussion board, and choose one of the two to describe your thoughts on. And that will be in this week number 7, I believe we're in. That will be in the folder, a link to that discussion board. That discussion board will be 1 point extra credit on the next test. Okay, doing the right thing at the right time is called discrimination. Um, Teaching a child to steal when playing sports and not in school. What would your boss think if you did a backflip at work if your hobby was gymnastics? Behavior is only valuable if it occurs at the right time. Discrimination is that it talks about when a behavior is appropriate. Stimulus discrimination is another way to put it, but discrimination is talking about when a behavior is appropriate. Uh, most of these are the ABCs. A is stimuli in the environment. B is behavior, and reinforcement is C is reinforcement or punishment. Teaching a child to only steal when playing sports and not in school. In other words, behavior is appropriate only in certain situations, which can be conditional.
Uh, that if someone drops a $20 bill, it's okay to pick it up as long as they don't, you didn't see who dropped it. That type of thing. But if you see who drops it, then it's not okay to pick it up. Stimulus control, anything in an environment to try and help cause a behavior or prevent a behavior is called stimulus. When a behavior occurs in the presence of certain stimuli, such as curse with friends and not with family, use drugs with friends and not with family, street signs on the road that tell you to slow down or that the speed limit is higher, sign on a machine that says it's out of order, sign in the restroom that says wash your hands. Those type of things are stimulus control. If we want to establish this type of discrimination, it's called stimulus discrimination training, which helps the person to exhibit or inhibit a certain behavior in the presence or absence of stimuli. Notation. Stimulus control has two aspects. There's SD and S delta. The stimulus that makes the behavior more likely to occur, friends and swearing more, crack house and drug use. The stimulus is there, your friends are around, and it causes you to curse more, or if you're at a drug house, you're more likely to do drugs. That is stimulus discrimination, SD. The stimulus that makes the behavior less likely to occur, delta, parents and swearing. If you're in front of your parents, you're less likely to swear. And in a meeting and not using. That's S delta. Therefore, stimulus discrimination training is when an organism or person is reinforced by the presence of stimulus discrimination, more of, or extinguished in the presence of S delta, less of. Stimulus generalization occurs when a similar stimulus elicits a behavior that a known stimulus elicits. One example is Little Albert and the white furry objects. Little Albert is an experiment that was done by, I believe it was, I can't remember, Walton, I think, where whenever the mouse was released, the mouse would come in right behind the baby, and the minute the mouse came close to the baby, they would slam on this real big bell right behind the baby and scare the baby. And it came to the point to where every time that the baby saw any type of white furry object, he would get scared because he would associate them with the loud bell that was rang behind them. A few categories are physical, and then class or concepts such as could, fuller, or wet, very similar to what we call a phobia or generalization, and that would be that if you always associated thunder with rain, that's stimulus generalization. Every time it thunders, it's going to rain. Some things to realize about stimulus generalization is that every time I get high, I'm going to feel good. And then there's a lack and a part that plays into this with denial, that where the stimulus generalization is I only think about the good high and I don't think about being out of money, losing my job, and the other things that go along with the drug use. I generalize by the stimulus and I only think about what is good, which is the getting high. We'll cover some more about this a little later in the class as well.
Okay, finally, shaping. Shaping a behavior to the way that you want it to be. Um, the story of Frank and the exercise problems. Frank wanted to increase his exercise levels but could not attain the goal of running 1/4 of a mile each day. He decided to use the process of shaping, and this aided in the attainment of the final goal, which is doing a small amount of the desired behavior in order to reach the long-term goal. It's also called successive approximations, reaching one point and then building upon your target behavior. Sometimes the desired target behavior is long way off from the current level of functioning and the leap is too great. So if you take it in smaller levels, treatment is a good example. And when someone is in a therapeutic community and going through the different levels or the different phases, they are shaping themselves to become a productive member of society. What must be done is shaping in order to increase the chances and speed of the target behavior occurring on a regular basis. Intermittently, there's going to be a certain amount of that behavior that is going to happen in order for the long-term goal to be met. Short-term goals lead to long-term goals, which lead to reaching the target behavior over time. It is defined as the development of a new behavior by successive reinforcement of closer approximations to the target behavior. An example would be steps on a ladder or steps on the continuum in treatment. There are different aspects of behavior that can be shaped, and we'll look at those again in other sessions as well. Some examples are baby talk to real talk. Wawa becomes wada, which becomes water. The hot-cold game, successful approximations, hot, 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 cold, cold, hot, getting closer to where the hidden object is. Rough drafts, each time you turn in a rough draft or a different paper toward your final paper, you're getting feedback and you're getting closer to the target behavior or the target goal of a paper in this class. Getting a ball player to the field and throw correctly, teaching a dog to sit, getting a substance abuser to throw away the drug dealer phone numbers, and rats in a cage to push a lever, and then you've already seen some videos of Sniffy the rat. Okay, so some factors making shaping effective is 1, specifying the final target behavior. The more specific, the better the outcome. You need to know where your final destination is. Choose the starting behavior, what place to start to get to the end, and then choose the steps, what step to do next and what order you're going to go in, moving at a correct pace and not moving too quickly or too slowly, but planning out what is going to be a successful order and pace in order to reach the ultimate goal. Some problems with shaping is consistency. Going too slow or too fast can cause someone to lose track. If the reward is not there, if like with weight loss, someone can start doing with a trainer for 2 or 3 weeks, but they don't see the ultimate results that they want to, their final results, then they'll give up on their program. And then shaping the wrong aspect of something, which can give you the opposite results that you want, and too much or too little praise. That's going to conclude our lecture. I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.